Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the podcast, The Endurance of Labor Laws. I am your lovely host, Lesley Sullivan, and today is episode 101, and we are going to take a look at the Superfund sites located in the state of Maryland. But first of all, let me give a big shout out to my listeners because it's so good to see you guys here online. So a big shout out to Illinois, Oregon, Virginia, New York, in terms of countries, the United States, and Canada. I want to give an extra big shout out to Illinois. You're listening in. There are more and more of you listening in. I can see the chart just going higher and higher in terms of population density, in terms of people listening into the show. So thank you so much, State of Illinois. You guys are awesome. I'd love to see you there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the state of Maryland. So here we go. So again, if you're new to this podcast, one of the things we're taking a look at in this episode is Superfund sites. Now, I will say this podcast initially started out as just looking at the labor laws within the United States, and it's been branching out to the labor laws in other countries, especially the UK and Canada, because our labor unions and our trade unions tend to have international, I would say, offices located in other countries. So sometimes we take a look at those things. I wanted to go ahead and continue with the podcast on Superfund sites as well because the EPA employs quite a few people. And for those that are listening in from other countries, again, the EPA is the Environmental Protection Agency. It is a federal agency located within the federal government within the United States, and they employ a lot of people. And some of them are in a labor union or a trade union, especially within federal agencies. And so I did want to take a look at the Superfund sites located within the United States. And for those, again, that are new to this podcast, for this particular episode, Superfund sites are toxic hazardous waste sites located within the United States. Now, we have a little over 40,000 Superfund sites located in the United States. The ones that we are discussing in this podcast are the ones that are on the national priorities list. These are Superfund sites that are so hazardous and so toxic to people, plants, animals, the environment, that they have been moved to the top of the list. In terms of how many are on that list, there's about 1,300 or 1,400 of them on that list. Some of these Superfund sites go back to before the 1980s, and so some of them have still not been cleaned up for whatever reason. So that's why I'm trying to highlight this, because I do think it is important that we get these cleaned up and that we get the right people to clean them up. One of the ideas I've had in regards to looking at these Superfund sites is have the private sector help out in terms of being hired by the EPA on a contract basis to come in and clean up these sites and really get the ball rolling. Because unfortunately, sometimes with the EPA and the federal government, things are very slow. It's like tortoise speed. And normally I love turtles, but in regards to getting things done, especially in regards to health and human safety, we need to get this stuff done and get it done quickly, and we need to do it effectively and quickly and on a cost analysis basis. And you might be saying, well, what does that mean? Well, unfortunately, the federal government is very good at wasteful spending and overspending. Whether they realize it or not, the federal government completely sucks at balancing its budget, hence we have trillions of dollars in debt. Our gas prices are astronomical right now. Real estate is going through the roof. Property taxes are going through the roof, especially out in California as well as in New York, but specifically in California, it's really horrible. That's why so many people are leaving California, is because they cannot afford the state income tax as well as the federal income tax as well as the property tax. That's just insane out there. So again, you have to be careful what rules, laws, and regulations you pass, especially when it comes to taxes, fines, fees, and things of that nature, because if it's not feasible and if it's not possible and it's not sustainable, then you're basically just shooting yourself in the foot. So that's why I said we need to have these Superfund sites cleaned up on a cost analysis basis, meaning how can we get this done quickly, properly, and effectively, and especially that it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to get this done, because unfortunately the EPA, they do not know how to balance their budget, unfortunately, which is very sad because they are a very important agency, and unfortunately they have gotten too big for their britches. Like, they do not have a bumper crop of employees, but unfortunately their budget is millions of dollars every year, and it's gone up tremendously. And it's just, I have to call the what's going on card, because if you don't have a lot of employees, but yet your budget, like your spending, has drastically increased, that raises a big red flag to me, because that's not normal spending. And it shouldn't cost millions or billions of dollars to clean up Superfund sites. I do think the EPA has missed the mark in regards to incorporating the private sector, like specifically hiring companies that handle this for a living, instead of just using federal agencies that are not really in the know-how in terms of research, terminology, as well as technology, in regards to cleaning up these sites. So that's one reason why I wanted to go over Superfund sites within this podcast of the endurance of labor laws, because another reason is because, if you think about how many Superfund sites are located in the United States, there's about 40,000 of them, right? Those are lands and areas that we cannot use. We cannot farm on it. We technically cannot live on it. And so that's probably thousands of acres, if not more, of the United States that's not inhabitable. Well, if it's not livable and it's not inhabitable, then that interferes with us being able to have an economy in those areas, and it interferes with us having jobs in that area. So that does affect our labor. It does affect our workforce. It also affects our labor unions, our trade unions, and any other professional union within the United States, because it limits us. It limits us from having business in that area, meaning conducting business, meaning helping our currency to become stronger. So we have less jobs available because we have these Superfund sites that are just sitting there, taking up space, being toxic and hazardous to the environment, which also includes people. So just FYI, when we're talking about the environment, it's not just the plants, the trees, and the wildlife. Human beings are directly a part and incorporate into the environment, because the environment is for you, it's for me. So that's why I truly believe that we need to get these things cleaned up. And so one of the ways to do that is to hire a bunch of private sector companies, have them contracted out, have them go out there and clean this stuff up. Because we do have industries and we do have companies that specialize in these things. And they know what they're doing way more than the federal government. And they can do it at a fraction of the cost. Because unfortunately the federal government is not known for knowing how to stretch the dollar. It just spends it. So they really need to work on that. They need to work on not overspending. They need to work on getting these things cleaned up, because unfortunately a lot of these Superfund sites have been sitting empty and vacant and contaminating our planet since before the 1980s. To me, that's personally not acceptable. I expect better things from an agency that says they're going to care about the environment and take care of it. Now, granted, a lot of these Superfund sites, especially on the national priorities list, they tend to be super bad. Meaning, they've got some really serious situations going on. But that should not deter us from doing what's right. It should not intimidate us in any way. If anything, it's an opportunity to get people back to work. It's an opportunity to get our environment back to the way it was before it was contaminated, whether by, the public sector, which would be like the United States Army or Marine Corps, whatever the case may be, because there are some Army ammunition sites that are now Superfund sites. There are also private sector companies, that have caused some of these issues as well. But to me, regardless of who has caused the problem, we need to get this stuff cleaned up. I just don't think it should cost millions of dollars. I think that we can do it effectively and efficiently, and we need to start working on it. But for the purpose of this particular episode, let's go ahead and take a look at the state of Maryland. Now, Maryland does not have a bunch of them. It's not like California or Delaware, but Maryland is a small state. So even though Maryland doesn't have a bumper crop of Superfund sites, the ones that they have are really bad. And here's the thing, Maryland is very, I would say, densely populated, because when I looked up the different counties where these Superfund sites are located, it very much concerned me that the counties have a high population density, but yet they've got a Superfund site there. So that means that more people can possibly be exposed to toxic, hazardous chemicals, debris, or waste, whether it's in the surface water, soil, or groundwater contamination, whatever the case may be. So again, even though Maryland does not have a lot of Superfund sites, they're not off the hook on this because they are a smaller state. So I was hoping that they wouldn't have any, to be honest. I was hoping they would not have any Superfund sites. And if they did have Superfund sites, that it would be limited or few. Because I do know that Maryland is densely populated. So it concerns me what people are being exposed to. Because the longer someone is exposed to something, the harder it is to preserve their health and vitality based on what they have been exposed to and for the duration of that exposure. That greatly concerns me with that. So, God bless Maryland. They definitely need our prayers. But what's interesting is that Maryland has not done a good job of cleaning up its Superfund sites. Even the state of Louisiana has been doing way better than the state of Maryland in terms of cleaning up their Superfund sites. And again, what I've noticed with this is that it's like the Democratic states tend to have way more Superfund sites than Republican states, but yet Democratic states tend to overtax people. They have way more fines, fees, rules, laws, and regulations. They make it very difficult for people to have productive businesses. They make it very difficult for people to bring home a good paycheck, but yet they've got some of the worst Superfund sites within the United States are typically, again, within these Democrat states. And so what I think has been happening is the federal agencies, whether it's the EPA or Department of Agriculture, whatever the case may be, and even the state departments for these states, like, the individual states, they have their own government agencies, right? I think they have been dragging their feet on this, and they have not been cleaning up these sites. That greatly concerns me because regardless of where someone lives, whether it is a blue state or a red state, they should not be exposed to anything hazardous. To me, that is completely unacceptable to take the risk of possibly exposing something or possibly exposing someone to something that is toxic, hazardous, and just flat out wrong to ever expose someone to something like that. So it does concern me that, with Democrat states, they make all these promises to people. Vote for us, we'll do this. And I understand both political parties make promises. But Democrat states tend to make way too many promises and hardly ever follow through on anything. But yet they raise tax brackets. And that is really concerning me because I think that, your monies and your taxes the proof should be in the pudding, is what I'm trying to say. Like, if you're heavily taxing people, you should have the cleanest state that there is within the United States. But unfortunately, like California, Delaware, and New Jersey, as well as Maryland, they are some of the most highly taxed states in the United States, and yet they have some of the highest rates of Superfund sites and some of the most toxic Superfund sites, and they're not getting cleaned up. I may live in Oklahoma, and I may be from Oklahoma, but I think the citizens of those states deserve better. I think they deserve better representation, and they deserve better results, especially when it comes to an environmental issue, because here's the thing, if you don't have your health, you're a goner. And your lifespan is limited. So I would hope that within these Democrat states, they would take it seriously enough that they need to get this stuff done, because at this point, it's not getting done. So oddly enough, Republican states are actually doing a way better job of cleaning up things, but yet Republican states want lower taxes, a freer market, and for there to be capitalism, because we know that capitalism works. Whenever you have a country that does not have capitalism, first of all, women and children always suffer worse. Usually women do not have the right to vote. They do not have access to equal opportunity for jobs or much less anything. So it's very important that, being that we are a capitalistic country, we need to act like it within every state within the United States. I don't care if it's blue or red. I seriously do not care. If we are going to be a capitalistic country and be a true democracy and believe in freedom and be a republic, we need to do a better job of taking care of the land that we have. Because if we don't take care of it, if we don't repair it, then what are we passing on to future generations? And I'm saying this as a young person. I'm only 38 years old. I am by no means old, not by any means. But here's the thing. I have always cared about the environment. So to see things like this, and then some of the worst sites are in Democrat states, I'm like, what are these Democrats doing? They're just so focused on agendas and causes and offending people and causing division. It's like, you know what? Where has that gotten them? Not very far. But people fall for it and they vote for them. So I encourage you, regardless of what state you're in, come all these future elections, I think you really need to evaluate who has actually gotten the job done or who has done the better job. And what is the current state of your state? Do you like where your property taxes are at? Do you like your wages? Do you like having a Superfund site just right up the street from you, if you are even aware of it? Some of them are not even fenced off, which I think is a huge mistake. I think every Superfund site within the United States needs to be fenced off, and it needs to be blatantly obvious that it is a hazardous, toxic site. Even if it's not on the national priorities list, it does need to be taken seriously. And they need to be cleaned up. So that's my 2 cents worth to start out this podcast. But let's go ahead and start on this state, which is, again, the state of Maryland. I am going to list off the ones that are currently active. Then I'm going to list off the ones that are proposed for addition to the national priorities list. And then we will close the podcast with the ones that have been deleted, which are not very many for the state of Maryland. I'm a little disappointed with that because considering how serious some of these are, I was hoping that they would, be at the forefront of it, really. Because I think that if you have Superfund sites that go back a long time in terms of being an issue, I would think there would be more tread to the tire, so to speak, to get some traction on what they're doing. But it just doesn't seem like a whole lot is happening. If I'm wrong, I will correct myself in a later podcast. But as of this point, it's very disappointing me because I think the people of Maryland deserve better. In fact, a lot better. Because I think this is very hazardous to their health. And again, if you don't have your health, you're a goner. So either that or your lifespan is greatly limited. And I don't think anybody on the face of this earth deserves that. So let's go ahead and get started on this. The first one that is a current and active Superfund site within the state of Maryland on the national priorities list, meaning it's a pretty bad one, okay, is Limestone Road. It is located in the county of Allegheny, however you pronounce that. And that county has 68,106 people living there. The issue with this one is inorganic chemicals and heavy metals, including zinc and lead, were detected in on-site soils. Surface water is contaminated with chromium, cadmium, and zinc. Site and residential wells have been found to contain manganese and nickel. Now that is really bad because part of these are residential wells that have been contaminated. So it's like residential areas. So that tells me this is near a population and people are actively living near there. So that's an issue. And I just wonder if people in that area are aware of what they're living near, because I would definitely move if it was me. This one was added to the list September 8th, 1983. The next one that is current and active is Curtis Bay Coast Guard Yard. It is located in the county of Anne Arundel, and that county has 588,261 people living there. The issue with this one is soil is contaminated in certain areas with semi-volatile organic compounds, metals, PCBs, pesticides, and dioxin. This one was added to the list September 5th, 2002. The next one is Fort George G. Meade. It is also located in the county of Anne Arundel. The issue with this one is PCE, TCE, let's see here, other volatile organic compounds, atrazine, and certain pesticides. So there's a lot of contamination with this one. It was added to the list July 28th, 1998. The next one is Kane and Lombard Street Drums. It is located in the county of Baltimore. Well, this one says Baltimore and Baltimore City, so I'm not sure why there's a difference here. But the population for that area is 585,708 people living there. It doesn't tell me what the issue is, but it was added to the list June 10th, 1986. The next one is Saur. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Sauer. And it is a dump. So being that it is a landfill or a dump, you know it's going to be bad. It is also located in the county of Baltimore. It does not tell me what the issue is, but considering that's a landfill or a dump, it's probably really bad. This one was added to the list March 13th, 2012. The next one is Dwyer Property Groundwater Plume. This one is located in the county of Cecil. Cecil County has 103,725 people living in that area. It does not tell me what the issue is, but it was added to the list March 10th, 2011. The next one is Ordnance Products, Inc. It is also located in the county of Cecil. It does not tell me what the issue is, but it was added to the list September 25th, 1997. The next one is Sand, Gravel, and Stone. It doesn't tell me if that's the name of a company or a road or an area. That's all it tells me. I do know that it is located in the county of Cecil. It does not tell me what the issue is. It was added to the list September 8th, 1983. The next one is Spectron, Inc. It is also located in the county of Cecil. It does not tell me what the issue is. It was added to the list. That's going to be May 31st, 1994. The next one is Woodlawn County Landfill. Again, landfills tend to be pretty bad depending on what's getting dumped there. This one is also located in the county of Cecil. It doesn't tell me what the issue is. It was added to the list July 22nd, 1987. The next one is Indian Head Naval Surface Warfare Center. This one is located in the county of Charles. Charles County has 166,617 people living there. It doesn't tell me what the issue is. It was added to the list September 29th, 1995. The next one is Fort Detrick, Area B, Groundwater. It is located in the county of Frederick. Frederick County has 271,717 people living there. It does not tell me what the issue is. It was added to the list April 9th, 2009. The next one is Aberdeen, Proving Ground, Edgewood area. It is located in the county of Harford, however you pronounce that. It's Harford. That county has 260,924 people living in that area. It doesn't tell me what the issue is, but it was added to the list February 21st, 1990. The next one is Aberdeen Proving Ground, and it says it's the Michaelsville landfill. Again, it's a landfill, so it's going to be bad. It is also located in the county of Harford. It doesn't tell me what the issue is. It was added to the list October 10th, 1989. October 4th, my apologies, October 4th, 1989. The next one is Bush Valley Landfill. It is also located in the county of Harford. It was added to the list March 31st, 1989. The next one is Andrews Air Force Base. It was added to the list, this one is located in Prince George's County. Prince George's County has 967,201 people living there. It was added to the list May 10th, 1999. The next one is Beltsville Agriculture Research Center, USDA. So it's probably the United States Department of, what is that going to be, Agriculture, I would think. Let's see, it is also located in the county of Prince George's. It was added to the list May 31st, 1994. The next one is Brandywine Defense Reutilization and Marketing Office. It is also located in the county of Prince George's. It doesn't tell me what the issue is. It was added to the list May 10th, 1999. The next one is Patuxent River Naval Air Station. It is located in the county of St. Mary's. St. Mary's County, as of 2010, has 113,777 people living in that area. It was added to the list May 31st, 1994, and it does not tell me what the issue is. The last one that is current and active is Central Chemical Hagerstown. It is located in the county of Washington. Washington County has 154,705 people living there. It doesn't tell me what the issue is, but it was added to the list September 25th, 1997. Let me see here, and let me get a drink of water, and we will go ahead and take a look at the ones that are, well, there's only one that's going to be added to the list, or at least they're thinking about it. Hold on just a moment. Okay, the one that they are thinking about adding to the national priorities list is called the 68th Street Dump. It is located in the county of Baltimore. This one was proposed to be added to the list January 19th, 1999, but they still have not made up their mind as to whether or not they do officially want to add it to the list, which I find kind of odd, because if they are thinking about adding it, that tells me that there's something there that is really bad. So I would think, they would know within like 6 months to a year, yay or nay, should we add this? But here we are in 2022, they still have not figured out, the EPA has still not figured out whether or not to truly add this to the national priorities list. I would think they would already know. But again, this is an example of how federal agencies move really slow, but yet they overspend on money. So now we're going to take a look at the ones that have been deleted, basically that are cleaned up and good to go and have been removed from the national priorities list. So they are environmentally safe and sound. So the first one is Mid-Atlantic Wood Preservers, Inc. It was located in Anne Arundel County. It was cleaned up and good to go July 18th, 2000. The next one is Middletown Road Dump. It was also located in the county of Anne Arundel. It was cleaned up and good to go as of April 18th, 1988. The next one is Chemical Metals Industries, Inc. It was located in the county of Baltimore. It was cleaned up and good to go as of December 30th, 1982. And the next and last one that has been deleted from the national priorities list is Southern Maryland Wood Treating. It was located in the county of St. Mary's. It was cleaned up and good to go as of April 5th, 2005. So there we go. We are all set on this one. So until next time, I pray that you're happy, healthy, and whole, that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.